Hey there, Nastygram listeners. Welcome to our new feed, the Nastygram D&D Podcast. Dropping a quick announcement at the start of this episode to do everything you can to spread the word about our new feed. Please post about it, share it, tell it to a friend, review it, and help us to get our new D&D platform off the ground. And stay subscribed here and, of course, on the Nastygram RPG Podcast, as we will continue to bring you Nastygram Actual Play Podcasts, now coming at you 2 feeds at once.
Here comes the Nastygram.
Send a priest to save my soul, forget it.
Welcome back to the Nastygram D&D Podcast. This is A Tangled Web, Chapter 6, The Way of the Drow.
Feeling it too hard is the poison to the heart of a cynic.
The sound of raucous celebration fill the sojourner. Orc warriors move about, revealing at a corner table a group of Drow, the executors of Talina Duskrin's plot, out of place among the mercenaries. One is not among them. Outside, standing on the docks and looking out into the darkness, is Savarkeen Vandry. We zoom in close behind her as she speaks quietly. Esteemed matron, Mother, I know that I am never beyond your sight, so I beseech you now to see me. I find myself a stranger in a strange place. We have encountered the likes of troll ferrymen, orc soldiers, and surface elves aboard surface ships. A place called Deepwater, controlled by the Grey Dwarves. Grey Dwarves who tolerate all manner of creatures to move freely about. I am certain some scheme and plot for their own ends. Not so strange. Here I suspect most are compelled by greed and fear. I will use your lessons to pull these threads. Though my station in Menzo Berenzin is not recognized here, our allies are capable. Jidden is a sharp blade, and his brother Sylavar a stalwart shield. They are utterly devoted to their house and our mission. Zavir's arcane magic will certainly prove useful, but I believe he is weaving a web his own. I know not what drives him, but I will keep him close. We will not fail.
Welcome back. I'm your Dungeon Master, Jake.
This is Josh. I'm playing Zavir, the wizard.
Hey folks, Dan here playing Sylavar, the warlock. You're not the only one.
What's good? Matt here, playing Jidden Duskrin, the rogue.
And I'm Devin, playing Savarkeen, the worshipper of She's good. It's fine.
And welcome back to the town of Deepwater. We find our heroes.
Do we?
Where are they?
Heroes?
Our heroes are in Stone Spine Tower, in what can only be described as a throne room. Large circular room, and at the back of it is a stone chair. Sitting in that stone chair is a gray dwarf. At the gray dwarf's feet is a large black panther, curled up, sleeping. As I said before, most of the gray dwarves all kind of look the same to you. Shaved heads, white beards. This one is a bit bigger. He's a solid 5 feet tall, very muscular, wearing armor. His beard has all of these sort of braids in it. And on all of those braids are all these rings, like rings that you should wear on your fingers, but it seems like he almost collects them in his beard. Dozens of, probably 50, 60 rings, all glinting different colors, golds and silvers, gems. And on his head, his shaved head, he has a bunch of runic tattoos. And these other 3 gray dwarves have brought you into the room, and they kind of make their way to the outer edge of the room while the 4 of you stand there. And who you can only assume is Zorn Stonespine speaks.
Savrakin's head is bowed.
I hate your kind. You always come in here, cause a big mess, kill a bunch of people, probably steal a bunch of my things. Then you just take off. And that's the end of it for you, but I gotta clean up the shit you leave behind.
Zorn, Your Eminence. Savrakin steps forward, her hands. She does this very practiced.
He looks over at that dwarf who I described before with the kind of wispy beard, and he says, "What's an eminence? Is she insulting me?" And he says, "No, sir, no."
She thinks about her undercommon. We come from the distant city of spiders. We seek passage after traveling far. We wish to cause no trouble. We only wish to pass without trace.
I like the sound of that. Sooner I get you out of my city, the better.
I assure you our word is honorable.
You're going back to Menzo Berenzen.
Yes.
Oh, good. When do you leave?
As soon as we have the resources, we come with not much to trade.
Why you come at all, then?
Because we are skilled rangers and trackers, we believe that we will find a way home.
And what we have found is the first potential new trading route from Menzaberenzen to other reaches, and a place that we can make it connect through here in Deepwater.
Why don't you give me a deception check?
I am going to roll deception,
You're going to roll?
and I'm going
You're not going to use
to
your portent?
give him a 1 for insight.
Oh, okay. Sure, but like your character's smarter than you, so there are other people in the room.
Saying it might be better to use this one.
I'm just saying, like, you might do that and he might believe you, but that doesn't necessarily mean the other people
I'll use
will.
the 20.
Okay.
I respect the hustle, Josh. I like that.
Yep.
Worth a shot.
By the way, I was just going to say, I'm picturing the dwarf played by Brian Cox.
I like it.
Rest in peace.
Okay.
Did he die?
I hope not.
I feel
Take that
he's-
20. Yeah.
So 23.
+3.
I like the sound of that. Waterway?
My lord, unfortunately, we cannot disclose everything until we have completed our route.
Of course.
But I will assure you that if we are to find the way back, our route here is quite unique, and it will allow us to send goods, things that you have never seen, things that Shed Nassad could never offer.
He looks over at that dwarf again and says, "Is he feeding me a bunch of shit?"
Fortunately, I used the 20 instead of the 1, so he believes me too.
He shrugs and says, "Lord, I've never heard of any way that would get you to Menzo Berenzen so quickly, other than from up above."
That is where I may be able to offer my services. My family are prolific rangers and have traveled to the surface. We have many secrets from there.
What do you want?
Expedient travel to Menzo Berenzen. The most expedient.
Our route, as we said, is unique, and it is what can bring us here and how we can bring things to it. What we still need to ascertain is a different way back that is efficient enough to make this trading route equally lucrative.
That other dwarf says, "Sir, there is a way we could send them quickly." Ah, what do you got? He's kind of eyeing all of you. How are you gonna pay?
Zavir's eyes drift over to Savrakin.
You see him kind of running a finger across like the rings in his beard.
Is your ring visible?
No.
Oh, okay, good.
Savrakin steps forward. She hooks her scepter, tucks it in her robes behind her. She belts the shield, and she reaches behind her, and you hear like pulling, some unstrapping, a buckle, and that breastplate falls off of her chest. It is made from the head crest of a bullet. It guided my family back home long, long ago.
You have a high insight. You can tell he's kind of bored by that idea. He's a dwarf. He likes metal.
This plate has special
He
qualities.
just waves you away.
It's because I'm a woman. She picks it up and just holds it to her chest.
Says, don't need a bullet plate. Ting, ting.
What do you?
I got mithril.
Salivar says, "What do you need?"
I need more mithril. I know where to get some.
Is mithril magical?
You can see he's thinking.
Might as well be.
Not innately, but
Yeah, it may as well be, and it's good for making magic items too.
Yeah, you can tell he's thinking.
How fast is this way back?
He looks at his advisor, and the advisor says, "We could have you within a day's journey of Menzoberranzan in 3 days."
Salivar says, "Then if it is a task you need done, we will have the time with this expedient way home."
He's been thinking this whole time, kind of pondering to himself. Were you looking for
Yeah,
something
I was
there?
trying to see if I had something, but I can't think of anything.
And he says, "I know how you can help me get more mithril. There's some I've been wanting to get. Some in a cavern near here." The advisor says, "Sir, we have a contract. We cannot break our contract." And he says, "Aye, we do. Our company, we have a contract. We don't go there. We leave them be. We can't break our contract."
But we can.
Ha ha, yes.
Yes, what if someone were to come to you with mithril? As if he doesn't know how we got it, but we just came with mithril.
Oh, no, you just clear out their cave, and then we'll go mine it. Could it work? He looks at his advisor. Advisor says, as long as they don't do it as representatives of Deepwater, I suppose.
Does this camp employ any of the mercenary companies that...
No. Just a bunch of goblins. 24 maybe. We'd clear them out in no time. But for the damn contract. My father signed the contract. 100 years he said they could live in that nest of theirs. It's been 80.
When did they find the mithril?
They don't even care. But we know it's there because we see it. Sparkles in the water. Clear them out. Clear them out. I'll get you where you're going.
this task is easily accomplished.
Easily.
However, there is something else we could offer. Mithril is something you know and seek. But if you wish to seek things you've never seen before, on our path, one of the things we've come across is a lost surface elf keep underground within 3-day travel from here, with all their secrets of a lost doomed king within. What is there may not spark on the same way as mithril, but it may be far more illuminating. But I fear it is so valuable for us to pass this that we could only part with one or the other, our services or this knowledge.
He looks over at his advisor and he goes, "What's this one all about? Is he a wizard?" And the advisor nods. He says, "He thinks I don't know about a place 3 days from my own house. 3 days from my own house. You think I don't know about it? You're a wizard. You're supposed to be smart."
Savrikane is enjoying this.
We found many things unclaimed, untapped, unsought there.
You know what I find about wizards and about Drow? But wizard Drow, the worst.
This guy.
Because wizard Drow, they think they know everything and you know nothing.
Is that not true? He doesn't say that.
I know about a vampire's house 3 days from my house, sure. Get out. Come back when you got me some mithril.
Severkeen turns. She puts her hand on Zavir's shoulder.
You feel him reflexively like shrug away.
Can I nominate Josh for inspiration for getting chastised by the
I'll
dwarf?
give it. I'll give it.
I'm not taking it for being
I
on the
think you
receiving
learned.
end.
I think you learned a valuable lesson.
I'm playing up my arrogance.
You're gonna hit him with a chromatic orb.
Just tell him that story. He'll probably love it.
Want to hear a good one about a gnome?
The doors open up for us to leave.
Yep. That advisor leads you out.
I think that went well.
The advisor says it did.
Does it seem like the advisor does most of the thinking?
You got any insight?
Give me an insight check.
My character's not that smart. 15.
In game terms, Zorn probably has a pretty low intelligence, but he probably has a decent wisdom.
Okay.
He's got street smarts, as they say.
And probably power to back it up.
Yeah. And he's smart enough to know he's stupid.
Right.
Which is why he asks a lot of questions of his advisor.
Cool.
Yeah.
Zavir says, like, pretty much to himself and Drow, keep holds far more riches than any veins of mithril. Foolish.
Perhaps it is fine that we can keep it to ourselves.
He's starting to think maybe people know about it and they just don't go there because of the, evil force of necromantic power that haunts the place. It's a possibility.
We are Drow. We do not fear darkness.
No.
Salavar kind of holds his side briefly.
I didn't finish my mead.
And we should speak to Trolltooth.
You wish to go back?
Is the advisor still near us?
Yeah, you probably didn't.
Nope.
Yeah.
He's escorting you out.
He's saying the mead thing as a...
Oh, I see. Let's get out of here. Yeah, so...
When you get to like the front doors of the tower, the advisor says, doing this job, it is important that it is subtle. Your kind are good at that. So I have no doubt that you will keep the name of Deepwater off of this.
For Deepwater.
I know that my Lord Zorn was not very forthcoming on the details. There's a waterfall. You can see it from the docks. And they say it sparkles when light is shown on it. It's the one that comes from straight above, the larger one. To the right, if you're standing on the docks, you'll see it. I don't know how you'll get up there, but that is their nest.
How do the goblins come to and fro?
They fly.
Salavar looks unhappy with this.
I will, seeing as having this mission succeed would be beneficial to our company, I will provide some working capital.
Severkeen bows her head.
He pulls out one coin and he holds it out, not sure who to give it to.
Severkeen she lifts her head up and takes the coin.
Okay. You don't recognize the metal, but it is stamped with a dwarven rune.
This is the line of credit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I run my finger over it. I know
Platinum card.
I know Dwarven.
It's some sort of number.
You fucking know Dwarven?
You know what? My matron Vandry has one of these coins.
Do you speak Dwarven?
Yes.
God damn, dude. Information that would have been useful yesterday!
So
She can't
he says this coin will give you a sufficient budget for whatever equipment you might need to make your way there.
Thank you, advisor. Let's go shopping. All right. Let's find what we need.
You guys make your way back to the Sojourner?
Yeah, as soon as
Yeah.
we get away from the keep, I say, perhaps we should still go back to the Sojourner.
Speak with Trolltooth.
we may find that there's a conflict of interest.
Or that he is the easiest way in.
There are two sides of a coin. She's twirling the coin in her fingers.
Lead on, sister.
You guys make your way back to the Sojourner. It's late now. It's past midnight. A lot of those orcs are unconscious. Some of them are still drinking. You see that their leader is still there, sitting at a table, talking to his sergeants. And he just kind of lifts his tankard towards you all when you come back in, gives you your space. And Jidden, as soon as you go in, you see Trolltooth up on the balcony, hiding in a shadow. But he sees you, and then he makes his way like down a hall.
Follow me. I see it.
As you get upstairs to that hallway, you get there just in time to see a door close. You make your way down and into a room, like a bedroom. You go inside, and you see that he's crouched in the window that is open, and he's crouched in it so that he can, escape quickly if he needs to. That long leather robe is just kind of hanging down around him.
Savrakine's at the door. She takes one look down the hallway, make sure no one else followed us.
Come in quick. Come in quick.
She steps in and closes the door.
You went to the Stone Spine Tower. You met with him? With Zorn?
We were invited.
He's speaking Undercommon, right?
Yeah.
Offer what you have
What do you want?
to return to Menzo.
Easy.
How?
He slowly reaches into his robe and he pulls out a wand. It's made of ebony and it has a spider on the top of it. Savrakine, you immediately recognize it as being from Menzo Berenzin. It's clearly magical, and he just kind of shows it to you.
She looks to Zavir. She says, I have seen these.
We have our ways of getting to Menzo Berenzin. We have been in the upper levels, the parts where your people no longer go.
Savrakine raises her chin. Her eyes narrow.
We find many treasures there.
Savrakine has this pensive look on her face. You can return us to the upper reaches?
We can.
With this?
No. We have paths that most cannot take.
Can Drow elves take this path?
With help.
What do you ask of us?
There are whispers that Zorn wants us dead.
They are true. Why did you ask us here into this quiet place? When you know this?
There are few here who would betray him. Most call this place home. Most care of what happens here. But not you. You simply wish to be passing through. So you perhaps don't care if Zorn dies.
We are all outsiders here. She looks to the rest of the party.
You still not say what you want.
I want Zorn's head.
Salivar's head kind of tilts back at this, thinking back on the throne room, thinking back on this whole place that we've walked through that is, as you described, a sort of murder point. That is a tall order.
Zavir hoists the scepter thing that he presented. Says, this could have come from a traveling merchant. You say you've been to Menzo Berenzin. If you have more things of this to convince us, if you have a route that you can show us.
Describe the upper reaches to me. The place where the long spire that reaches almost to the ground. The spires that hang above it.
The statue of your queen is there.
Zavir, you see him look at you with like an irritated look on his face.
Enchanted by some magic. It shifts from the form of a beautiful drow woman to a wicked spider.
Have you been close to this place?
He nods.
She just looks at him. She turns and looks at the rest of you. He has been there.
How long?
I know this place.
But how long to get there?
He does something weird, which just kind of sizes you all up as he thinks about it. Quick, we can move quick. Very quick. Be in the upper reaches in 4 days.
I don't have much experience with goblins. I probably couldn't tell if he was lying. But I know that he's desperate.
If you can show us the way.
You can't get there without our help. The way will do nothing for you.
We must think on this. There is much to discuss. We would put ourselves at great risk, and we do not wish to do so here, in the very belly of the beast you would wish us to slay. We will discuss this.
Lure him out like a fish. Show him something shiny. And when he comes to it, snatch him up.
And where can we find you if we do this? We will not wish to outlast our welcome if this is done. He says in Goblin, I know your ways. Do not try to lead us into a trap. Tell us the way to your place, avoiding your little nasty nasties, so we may get out with them on our heels.
Come up to the nest. Bring his head. Do this, and we will bring you to Menzoberranzin. No tricks.
How well do you know the people up in the nest?
I'm one of them.
Perhaps by working together, Zorn will come to you into the center of a web where the spider will strike. Draw him out to a place you can control. You show us how to fight there. You can watch him die.
We'll be looking for you.
Jake, can I'm trying to assess old Trolltooth here.
Mm-hmm.
Is there anything that's demonstrated one way or the other how familiar he is with the arcane? Like, think about how he reacted to the fairy fire, how he dealt with the scepter, anything on him. Do I think he has a good grasp of magic?
You think he probably has a good understanding of it, but you don't think he necessarily knows how to use it himself. But he did. He knew enough to know that the spell, that the fairy fire could be dismissed. He told you to make it go away.
Jidden probably also told you about the leap that he made.
Oh yeah, that was probably magical, and he seems like he understands at least what magic is. You don't think he's necessarily a wizard though.
Okay, but he's been exposed to it, which I think maybe goblins sometimes grasp the basics. Perhaps one of his companions, his tribe might be like a shaman or a caster.
Yeah, there's a good chance.
Very well.
He says we will be waiting. And then he jumps out the window. As he jumps out the window, that robe unfurls and carries him into the dark sky.
Crafty hobbits.
That's what I said.
You guys all have good knowledge nature. Why don't you all roll knowledge nature for me?
Probably have the worst, but I rolled really well.
8.
16.
22.
22. His cloak was not a cloak. It was a cloaker. It's a creature. You didn't realize it when he was in here because it was just kind of draped over him. But as he jumps out the window, it unfurled and you saw that it was in fact a creature, and he rode it out of here.
Amazing.
Zavir curses under his breath and Drow.
It's a little smaller than cloakers that you have seen in the wild. It's not challenge rating 8.
A cloaker. Those creatures past the southern reaches that used to cause those mining patrols so much difficulties. They've made them pets, it seems.
That explains how they reach the upper reaches of Menzoberranzan.
He looks around. He says, I'm still parched, sister. Let us go back down.
Very well.
We go back down to the bar.
Okay.
It's late. Get another round of drinks. Go to a corner of the bar that we haven't been in. If there's like a table in the back, something like that.
Okay.
Who's around still in here? Just some handful of orcs still?
Yeah, some orcs.
We can fight him if you want.
Zavir looks like he's like looking around a lot.
You haven't touched your drink. I believed you parched.
I was more seeking a place where I was confident there were no listening ears, nothing left behind. I don't trust anything, and I don't know any of their capabilities. There are many people interested in us for such a short time we've been here.
We are a neutral party, and they are vying for our allegiance.
Dear sister, I'm so glad that you were able to learn some geography of the upper reaches of Menzoberranzan, but what we really wanted to do was get back to their lair, because clearly the only option is to slaughter those creatures.
That is not the only option, Zavir.
We have found what could potentially be a valuable asset for us, something that we personally may have to offer in Menzoberranzan, a connection.
What kind of asset? Speak of money?
What I said...
I don't know if you remember, but you lied about that.
Yeah. I say, what I said to the king was a lie. However, if we are to actually find a route back, it would not necessarily need to be. There are many in Menzoberranzan who would highly value a route to a place like this, a new trading location. Something that wouldn't even necessarily have to go through our houses. Something that we could manage ourselves.
If you intend to sail back to this place, with what ships will you sail? Will your lowly house provide them?
Even those as lowly as I find it necessary to make friends, acquaintances, allies. I don't intend on picking up a merchant caravan myself, but knowing how valuable this information could be.
I do not disagree with Zavir. The goblins are easily dispatched. It makes tactical sense. But the problem is that route that you crave, they know it. And unless we can extricate it from them before we kill them, it will be lost.
He looks towards Jidden. Do you listen as well as you watch? Will we not offered another route from the very man this little pittance of a creature would have us slay? The one who sits atop in charge of this very community we're in. You would think to ally ourselves with goblins? If your houses were in desperate need of slaves, there are easier ways to find them.
It is not an allegiance I crave, but the method that Zorn suggests. It is undoubtedly magic and powerful. He said that he cannot do it until 3 days' time. It is unlikely a reliable resource.
He said it would take 3 days. You're not sure if that's travel time or what.
Oh, okay.
But, I mean, you don't know. You just said it would take 3 days.
So it'd take 3 days to get us within 1 day's travel.
Got it.
No, it's good.
Yep.
Savrakine's looking at Jidden.
You're looking at Jin. He has his stone mask on. It's expressionless, emotionless, and from behind it, you hear the voice, or you hear his voice. Which is easier, to kill one or 100?
There is something about goblins. Their numbers are always underestimated. If Zorn thinks there's 24 up there, there are at least 4 times as many. But they are still only goblins.
They have mastered the air with the assistance of these cloakers. makes them a dangerous foe. I do not believe Zorn when he says it's only the contract that keeps him from taking the place himself.
But sister, clearly you see that Zorn is the stronger ally.
It is a stronger ally that does not know the way to our home, one that does not know where we are vulnerable. The goblins know this place. I assure you, if we destroy that camp, there are others. They will know. And if they are clever, they will know that we did it.
And what of it?
We have never considered the goblins a great threat.
No. But when they lurk where we cannot see, how are we to know them? That is dangerous, brother.
You bring up a point I must admit I had not considered. Salvar.
He raises an eyebrow.
If there means Zorn and his advisors, that is, of transport are magical, they would not necessarily be something we could recreate.
He's nodding slowly.
That would, in essence, make it nothing but a return proposition. No profit in it.
He would, in fact, use us.
They're both seeking to use us in their ways. The only question is, who can we use better?
Imagine if that flow of mithril, never to make its hands to Zorn, were to find its way to the city of spiders. What wonders we could create. And what better allies than those who control it and have mastery over it.
It's a bit of a stretch to think that we would be able to extend our reach there through this lake, that this city holds some sort of grasp over. The only way that this could benefit us is if we have some sort of sense of who will step into the role if Zorn is dead.
That is worth knowing.
And if they would be equally benefiting from his disposal. That way, you can have your beloved goblin friends, and we can still have contacts here in the city. Perhaps Torm could seek a larger role in this community he seems to hold sway in.
So, Dark Elf.
Savarkeen is leaning back now in her chair.
We've made our introduction. She looks across the bar.
The one I fear, in an absence of power, is the mind flare. That would not be good for the Drow.
Savarkeen nods.
You said he's a trader, an artificer of some sort? As
They are.
long as trade continues through, he should be unaffected.
They are insidious. It is only my concern. I think you are right. We should talk to Torm, get a sense of things. This plan you have laid out, it is by far the most advantageous. It plays both sides.
It seems a shame to have to kill such useful craftsmen as Grey Dwarves versus dispatching of goblins, but if it is in our better interest, then it is what we must do.
The Spider Queen will be pleased with us.
Who kind of made the biggest impact in that fight? It was Dan, right? It was
Probably.
Like, well,
probably Salavar.
He kind of fucking dropped that guy with a
Yeah,
finger and then
yeah.
did like scary stuff.
And then scared them all away with the fear thing. Yeah.
There's a lot of magic.
Yep.
And then and then after that was the crazy shadow magic illusion. But honestly, they probably didn't
thought it was all
realize that
me.
was Jidden.
Yep.
They might have just thought that was Salvar. So yeah, Salvar looks like some badass warlock right now. Allegedly.
Allegedly.
Brother, perhaps you should lead the way if we are to speak to him.
You're also the strongest one in the party with a 10. So
They respect strength.
You're fucking roped.
He contemplates it for a moment and he says,
And I know you're playing the character very dark and creepy and mysterious, but I do notice you have an 18 charisma. So
fucking
I used
18.
my-
perhaps
it
we
for
could actually
intimidation.
use that.
Jesus Christ.
He says, I will speak to him. But our goal, I may have an 18 charisma, but I only have a 10 intelligence. He says, our goal, we want
You're
to know.
You're the hot dumb one.
We want to know the powers that are vying here. Yes?
Find out if he conflicts with Zorn in any way. Disagreements, perhaps contracts that Zorn holds that Torm is envious of.
Perhaps if he would find better business under new management, we'll have to be careful in our approach. Clearly, as our fearless leader, he kind of like winks at Savrakeen, in this case alone.
Disgusted look on her face.
We will offer the support we can. And a sage at your side, I can assist in the negotiation.
Savrakeen respects the cleverness of Zavir clinging to whoever he believes is the most powerful in any situation.
Parasite.
You going to make your way over to him? I mean, you see him on the other side of the room, sitting at a table.
Salavar stands and begins walking across the room to him.
Okay.
Be wary, brother.
Alone?
Zavir goes with him.
Okay.
Savrakeen will grab a drink from the bar of whatever Torm is drinking.
As we're making our way across, Zavir is kind of just behind and a half step, just to the side and a half step behind Salavar. And he says, be strong but careful with what you lead with. Tell them you appreciate his offer. Indicate that we are already unhappy with the leadership here in the city. And we wish to know if they are equally as restrained. Be vague but boastful about what we have to offer to this community. He casts guidance. He's kind of
Cool.
Nice.
doing whatever.
As you're walking towards him, you see he notices you. There's a couple other orcs at his table that are unconscious. Two others that are playing a card game. And he's kind of sitting in the middle. There are stacks of gold bars on the table.
Okay.
Probably the haul from whatever job they just completed.
And he's likely not short on money.
You see leaned up against like a post next to his chair is a great sword. Very ornate looking weapon. And he's wearing armor that looks like it's from the surface. It's got that like shiny metal look to it that you don't really see in the Underdark.
Sure.
Jidden's seen it.
And he has like shaggy black hair, light green skin, two big kind of tusks coming out from the bottom. Typical kind of orc look. But when he talks, you immediately notice a weird accent. Do any of you guys have knowledge nobility or anything like that?
Nope.
They got rid of that. There's only
did.
history.
History is everything.
History, arcana, medicine, nature,
Josh, you can roll
religion.
You can roll history.
16.
It's a surface accent.
Okay.
And as the conversation goes on, you start to think he might not be full orc.
Interesting.
But as you approach, he says quite eloquently, "Thought you'd come to visit sooner."
Apologies. We were called away by your fearless leader, Zorn.
Have a seat.
Salavar nods and sits.
Savrakeen puts down the drink.
Zavir stands behind Salavar, not sitting.
Where'd that sword of yours go?
Out there.
Can I see it?
He puts both hands on the table and summons it across his hands.
He kind of nods, impressed, and then he leans his chair back and he grabs his great sword and he puts it across the table for you to look at. And he takes your sword and he kind of turns it over
I hand it to him.
Has it got a name?
The Dark Star.
Uh-huh.
That's the ship in one of our Star Wars games.
He's running his finger across the cracks where it's broken apart and is fused back together with weird energy.
You got to touch his sword.
Yep. I reach across the table. I imagine the weight of it.
Oh yeah, it's you have trouble lifting it.
Rather than embarrass myself, I like just orient it towards myself, like I'm just like examining the craftsmanship.
Jake, could I make a insight roll to his reaction when Salivar talked about Torm? Talked about Zorn, their fearless leader, if he had any.
Amused.
Okay.
It is
They call it Wormfang.
a dragon slayer.
No. But allegedly it was found in the lair of a purple worm.
How did you come by it?
I bought it off of Grimbar.
The deep gnome.
Gave him a fortune for it. I don't know why he didn't just close up shop when he was done with that.
Savarkeen looks at the money on the table.
You do well here.
He nods. There's always someone wanting someone else killed.
Salivar kind of nods in agreement.
Sometimes we go to the highest bidder.
Are all of these men in your company?
Most. Looks around.
Any outsiders?
Outsiders?
Yes.
You mean non-orcs?
Well, you see my friend here is kind of bookish. You have any use of someone like that?
We had a wizard. He was good.
Had.
Yeah, he got eaten.
You seem to thrive here. Is it all as rosy as it seems?
Men like me and you, we thrive in places of violence, don't we? Josh, give me an Arcana check. There is some sort of enchantment on him. You're not sure what it is, but you can tell that there's some sort of magic at work. Maybe an item.
He signals in Drow hand code, trying to obscure it from his view, just in case he notices he has magics, if you can tell what. And as he was kind of introduced, he kind of takes a half step forward and looks down at Salivar and he says, "Sir, if I may."
Salivar nods.
We have encountered some challenges in our negotiations for some business proposals to the regent here, Zorn. He has proven to be a bit obstinate from what we would seek. Without getting into boring you with the details of that, I just wonder if you've had any challenges with him yourself. He does not seem to be managing things here very efficiently.
Excuse me. Savarkeen stands up, walks over to the bar. She delicately picks up her glass.
Oh, okay. Nastygram from Devon. He's casting detect magic.
Yep.
Yeah, she puts down the glass in the bar and whispers a couple of words before turning back with another drink towards the table.
You get the School of Magic as well, right?
I do.
Champion motherfucker.
He is wearing you see a kind of glow under his like chain shirt that's on his chest. He has some sort of magic amulet on. Some sort of enchantment. You don't think it's doing anything like malicious. It's just enhancing him in some way.
She's looking at him. You said he's huge, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, she's I don't know if she's ever seen a surface orc or whatever.
He takes another swig of his ale. And he says, "It's funny how you Drow talk. You try to be so diplomatic about everything. You want to know if I like him."
More or less.
Does all right. Keeps the place in order, which is good. Keeps me busy. I don't really work for him. He doesn't really have any need for me. And try to avoid taking contracts that go directly against him because, well, he does own the place.
We heard that you similarly are. We heard that you too get a little envious of small companies taking contracts.
Why compete when you can just shut down the competition, right? That's how you Drow do it, right?
Is there anyone here that wants his job?
Zorn's job. Now we're getting somewhere.
Respectfully,
Zorn's job.
respectfully, we Drow do it by taking control ourselves.
Oh, I know. I shouldn't be surprised, actually, by any of this, right? Never been to your cities, but I hear this is how it goes. Well, if you're asking if I want Zorn's job, the answer is hell no. I'm happy where I am with what we do. Hell.
Seems you do quite well.
Yep. And I want this place to stand. I want to make sure that these merchants keep coming and going and keep killing each other. It's good for business.
The cavern walls are lined with soldiers.
Mm-hmm. But it could be done better.
By who?
Someone else could run this place more efficiently. He looks over at Jidden, who I assume is still sitting over at the bar.
Yeah.
Oh, that's an assassin if I ever saw one.
We are a competent group.
Competent enough to get it done?
Only if we were assured that there would be no dangerous vacuum that would interrupt business for associates that we've met, such as yourself.
Kenrick, coin counter. That's the little one who can't grow a beard, who's always around him. The advisor. He'd be a good leader because, well, he's smart, savvy, keep the place running well, but he's weak. He'll need some strength by his side. But I'm not putting my company in danger to make this happen. Here's what I'll do for you. You want to take out Zorn, you do it. You try to take out Kenrick. You chase him towards me. I'll defend him. I'll keep him safe. I'll chase you evil dark elves away. And then, when the dust settles and Zorn is gone and you're gone, Kenrick will be so grateful that my company saved him.
This is promising.
This is cunning.
You would be the law of the land here.
He smiles.
Could you make us an assurance that the goblins in the nest above the waterfall would remain untouched?
Last thing I want to do is try to fly up there. I'll stay right here on the ground. But if your plan works, we'll make sure to stay clear of the nest.
There's a lot of nodding around the table. Just all the characters are nodding at each other.
It has been fortunate that we met you. Something I would not have thought in the beginning. But you are a pragmatic man.
It's the same out here as it is in your city. I was gonna say you have to go where the wind blows, but they don't have wind. You have to go where the air currents in the tunnels go.
We have a saying in Menzo Berenzin, those who survive are strong.
It's about time for a change here. As I said, I'm not putting my company out there. We're not going to start a war with the Duger.
We understand your conditions.
However, perhaps if you granted your company a little bit of a paid holiday tomorrow, encourage them to drink up, have a good time here. Perhaps things would get a little sloppy, perhaps take some attention from the guards.
That we can do. I'm going to send a few of my men, myself included, are going to be there to protect Kenrick, though. Make a good show of it. We'll chase you off. You're going to attack Stone Spire Tower?
We'll seek an audience.
Savarkeen is rolling that
Well,
coin.
He says that and kind of like closes his eyes for a second. Zavir does and realizes he's speaking out of turn, and then looks down at Salivar.
Salivar kind of gives an annoyed look and he says, "We are considering our options.
Well, I'll
The keep
leave.
is deadly."
The keep is deadly, but he doesn't leave very often. Seek an audience, get in there, get the job done, I suppose. Unless you think you can lure him out somehow.
There is an option. We will discuss it, and we will let you know before we make our move.
Kenrick's not much of a threat. He'll run the first chance he gets. And we'll be there to protect him. Zorn himself, he's a solid fighter. That cat, that's probably the biggest threat of all. It's not a cat. It's a displacer beast. You heard of him?
Yes.
It's usually about 3 paces to the left of wherever it looks like it is. Tends to favor the left. His two main bodyguards are Durland. They call him Durland Twice Born. They're both named Durland.
So dwarf.
They fight together. They'll die together.
Any others?
Oh, I'm sure he's usually got a half dozen soldiers around him. But the cat and Durland are the ones you got to worry about the most.
Does Zorn partake in any libations?
No more or less than any other dwarf.
What if there was something to celebrate?
Tell you what he loves. Rings. But you probably gathered that much from meeting him.
Agreed.
If you wanted, I do believe Talk's got a particularly nasty ring. A cursed thing. If you can get it off of him.
How do you know of this ring?
I've talked to him. I buy things off him occasionally, mostly potions.
How do you find his sensibilities? Is he reasonable?
I don't know. Never really understand what he wants.
Is he in the good favor of Zorn himself?
Yeah, he's been here a few years. He's got a good business going, selling potions and alchemical supplies. He's got about a dozen thralls.
Throughout the city?
No, they mostly live on his boat, do his work for him.
The surface elf.
The elf is his mouthpiece. That's how you speak with him.
How's your surface elvish, Zavir?
Oh, you won't need to talk.
Oh my.
Zavir kind of clears his throat uncomfortably. The thought of a mind flare in his head.
You don't
wait.
You don't have to, but
We have options to consider, and the night is late.
it is.
We will be in touch. Salivar raises his glass, though.
He clanks your glass
Drink and then leave.
and he says, "May Darkstar be wet with blood."
Salivar nods. Walks away.
Zavir bows to him and follows Salivar.
Savarkeen there's a splinter of wood that she was just sort of peeling off and twisting. And she plucks it from the table. And it's this like little piece of wood that's spiraled up. And she touches it. And this black like bud forms on it. And then it like a dandelion, the white like stalks with the little bristly things on them. And she hands it to him.
He smiles actually as he takes it. And
If he goes to touch the soft like buds, he finds that there's thorns hidden underneath the stalks.
yeah, he does, and he kind of smiles and stares at it for a minute, and then he says, When you get back to your city, remember, the Worm-Tooth mercenaries are always for hire. All 4 of you just wrote that down. Note, we may want to hire them later.
Yes. I'd like to hire them now.
Right? That would be ideal.
Will you take this coin?
Would you take this coin that is about to have no value?
Zero relevance.
And let's go shopping.
Savarkeen, I think, wants to trade it to talk the Mind Flayer for the ring.
For the cursed ring.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's like you trade it or it's more like you show it.
Right.
Whatever.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. It's like a coin in an arcade. It has no cash value, but it has value at the arcade.
Okay.
It's 100 tickets.
Do we want to do a quick metagame discussion before we
I think so.
Sure.
fall into
Because this is going to be serious.
Just talk about like
The logistics.
Yep.
us as players, how do we want to accomplish this?
Yep.
Because we role play enough.
Yeah.
Welcome to Table Talk at Nastygram RPG.
So the alternative, maybe it's pretty obvious, but the alternative to fighting him in Stone Spire would be to say that we've killed all the goblins in the nest and lure him out by showing him the nest.
Right. Getting that would involve probably like getting Trolltooth involved.
Yep.
Yes. Going to the nest.
Going to the nest, dealing with them,
Yep.
making them a part of this whole thing.
Ambush.
They're probably going to be, they're not super trusting. You can see that guy very shifty. So the thought of like doing anything to lead them into his nest is going to be a tricky proposition.
Right.
It would definitely give us home court advantage.
Right.
But
I think, because we're going to have to, even when the talk is like chasing us away, I'm doing that in air quotes, that means we have to escape the city from
Torm.
What's that? Torm, excuse me. Torm, we have to escape the city full of gray dwarfs.
We got to set up with the goblins no matter what.
Yeah.
We have to communicate with them before we do this to either involve them in the plan as part of the ambush or as our escape route.
Yep.
If we act at the nest, we don't have to flee. What's it called? Dark water.
Darkwater.
We don't have to
Deepwater.
flee deep water.
Yeah, water deep. Deepwater.
And also, that's kind of part of how the plan works.
I thought about naming it Deepwater, water deep.
That's true.
You know what I mean? Like we kind of want it to happen in the city so that we kind of have to. That's the deal with
Torm.
With Torm.
Well, if Zorn does not go out, if we say, "Hey, we've cleared it out," you can send your group, mining group out. Probably send some guards, maybe to escort them and whatever, and that would leave Zorn defenseless, more or less.
True. That would be a way to at least create a little confusion.
And Torm said he would hold off his company from perhaps assisting Zorn.
I want to like fucking Mission Impossible this and take fucking cloaker hang gliders off Windspire.
Oh, I'm so in for the cloaker like
Hang
drifting
gliders?
episode.
I mean, I think the action should take place at the Spire.
Sure. Yep. I like that.
Like both in like kind of his game thing.
Yep.
But also like Torm has to be there. The advisor has to flee. He has to rescue him. We have to coordinate with the goblins to get out. So the options are either like infiltration, assault, or like a false pretense of going in.
Yep.
It could be as simple as
We're accepting the deal.
yes, we're accepting the deal. We want to meet back up with some like additional negotiation things.
Or it could be the trap that we've, after a day or two, we come back and say that we've cleared the nest.
Yes.
Yep.
If we were to do that, we should actually go.
Yeah.
Because we don't know who is watching us if we just lie and say that we went.
have to go to the nest no matter what.
Yep.
I mean,
So we can go shopping
shopping.
to get the shit we need, which is really the shit we want to use on Zorn.
Yep.
Go to the nest to meet with Trolltooth.
Yep.
make the deal,
Mm-hmm.
and go for a Stone Spire Mission Impossible cloak re-evacuation.
That's what I'm talking about.
Okay.
So the plan to go into Stone Spire would be to just say that you want to meet with Zorn and negotiate the
Or-
final terms.
What do you guys think? Is it to renegotiate or to say we did it? He's fucking toast. Let's make the deal.
Yep.
I mean,
It's done.
the thing about the it's done part. Do we want a goblin head?
I can get you going.
I can get you a goblin head because I think, we want to show up there because he probably actually knows how hard it is. And if we show up there all pristine and, like good to go, either like we're epically badass or we're lying,
I mean, we could dress ourselves up to look a little bit bad.
Yep.
Zavir could look like Trolltooth in chains.
Yep. And we just say he's our prisoner.
Didn't you get
That's
disguise
not part
self
of the
too?
deal.
I have disguise self as well.
So you could show up minus a couple party members with a couple prisoners.
Yep. That would be pretty convincing.
Yeah. Yep. I like this.
As long as he doesn't have any like overt like thrown magic that's gonna neg all that. Which
I was kind of thinking if what the hell's his name? Torm said that at the first sign of danger, Kendrick's going to dipset and he's the king's advisor. And if we have disguise self, if he dipsets, we have the new advisor to set up set up Zorm for whatever we want to do, because the person he trusts is now either you or I.
Oh,
you can take
That's Drow.
the advisor's
yeah, but
place.
then you got to stay there.
Just until he's dead.
Until it pops off. And then there's no advisor anymore. It's just us.
We strike fear into the advisor, make him.
Metagame wise, though, we don't want to like split the party for the big final, not big final combat, but
True.
because that would involve like one of us like not being in the throne room when shit's going down, right?
No one would be there because we would be the advisor in the throne room.
I know a way to get the advisor to
Disguise self is
Torm.
that good? You can be someone else.
I mean, you can't sound like them, but
I think there's limits. Like there's one where you can really be someone else.
Look
Yeah, that's
different.
That's
not
alter
there.
You
self.
can seem a foot
Alter
shorter,
self.
taller, appear thin.
disguise self
between.
isn't alter self. Alter self is what you need to be them.
You can't change your body type. You must adopt the form that has the same basic arrangement of limbs. Changes wrought by the spell fail to hold up to physical inspection.
I think disguise self is more of like you could be a gray dwarf, and alter self is like you can be this specific gray dwarf.
okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. It's an awesome idea, but I don't think that spell is.
We could probably
That
pass as
powerful.
goblins.
You
But
could definitely make yourself look like a goblin.
Yes.
But like if they know exactly who Trolltooth is, then they wouldn't believe that you're Trolltooth.
Is disguise self illusion or transmutation?
illusion.
Yeah, so it's alter self is transmutation.
Yeah.
So it's way stronger.
And Zavir does speak goblin.
I mean, you might be able to find a magic item here that does alter self, but
I mean, I think for the needs of just making the first impression of getting in, that's all. It
I think
really
the
is.
goblins are still probably our best bet.
We make you guys look fucked up,
And we make it look like we lost some party members.
and you came back with a couple prisoners in tow. We get in the throne room and we fucking throw down.
I have a ploy for the advisor too, using the coin. If we still have it.
But the advisor, it's kind of not a problem. The advisor's
the
going to
advisor's
run.
You
gonna
want
be-
the advisor to run away.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because that's what
I like what you're saying. If we're going to stay here and set up shop and start running the place,
No, I wasn't even thinking that. I was thinking if we tell the advisor like, hey, shit's gonna go down, he's gonna run. Because that's
oh, I see what you're saying.
and then we take the place of the advisor and tell the king, like, hey, so and so wants to meet at X place. And he looks at us and goes, that's a good idea? Yes, sir, that's a great idea. Okay, let's go.
Dangerous wrinkle to throw in because if we just say like, hey, we're going to show up and fuck shit up, he might go like, guards.
Yeah.
I also
I-
don't think it's possible.
Yeah.
Well, I mean,
He
to take his
pretty
place.
much already just said.
Yep.
Yeah.
So, and maybe something, not to jump into the DM shoes,
Mm-hmm.
but something that could be cool is if we each had a task individually to accomplish. We have a lot to do,
Yep.
and we know time is against us for our real mission. So maybe we think of like one of each of these things that we have to do to get this ready, and we do them separately.
Savage King can get up to the nest.
Okay. Yeah, as a spider.
Yep.
So you're going to, all right, Savage King's
Negotiate.
going to go negotiate with
Yep.
the goblins. What else do you guys need to accomplish?
We need to go shopping.
We need to go shopping.
We need to.
Gearing up. We probably want to do a little bit more job of searching out what are the actual defenses, what do the guard rotations look like, what are other ways in and out, how are we going to get out of the top of the tower?
Cloaker hand glider.
Yep.
That could
That's a
be
Jidden job.
Oh, yeah.
So I think Jidden needs to scout the
Yep.
Stone Spire Tower.
Yep.
Zavir's ring
Mhm.
that he's only kind of alluded to in a pre-credit sequence.
Yep.
Is a ring of mind shielding. So maybe Zavir goes to talk.
Yep.
Okay.
You could possibly negotiate with the coin for the cursed ring. Do we need it?
Well, we want the cursed ring to give to him.
It'll weaken him.
Yep. So on a return, we present him with this. We found this in the nest.
And maybe you go for actual battle shopping, whatever we need, which would include, I think, what we want. We don't want to trade something for this ring, just in case there's any communication between Talk and Zorn's people.
So we're going to buy gear that we can trade?
buy gear and something of value
Yep.
that we can trade Talk.
I
Okay.
see. Okay.
Yep.
That's a good idea.
All right. This sounds like a split party role playing / skill challenge. And all right, let's start. Let's start with Jidden. What does your scouting mission look like?
I think scouting mission, he would be using his disguise self. I think he would be just disguising himself as random guard number 5.
Random Druger guard.
Yeah.
All right.
And just kind of making his way through the spire.
Cool.
Sort of like building a mental map of every passage, tunnel, doorway that's locked, unlocked, all the way from the throne room to the top of the...
Awesome. Why don't you give me a perception check?
Well, that's a natural 18.
Ooh.
23.
23. Yeah, you spend a good amount of time scouting out this place, you know, pretending to be a guard, using just conventional stealth, making your way around, and you get a really good layout. By the time you're done, you've got a full sort of map of the entire spire.
Dope.
I'm not going to go into detail about what exactly is there yet, but basically you know the entire layout. You have a good idea. And one thing that you are aware of that you weren't aware of before is that throne room has there's like behind 2 of the walls, there's places where guards are secretly stationed, and they have like crossbow slits basically where they have crossbows pointed at when you were in there was probably 6 guards pointing crossbows at you through slits in the walls. But you know where those are now, and you know where they will be.
Okay.
Yep.
Know where we can stand in the room to...
There's not really anywhere to be out of sight. I mean, like you could potentially like you could try to maybe kill the guards ahead of time or something. I don't know, but you know they're there.
Word.
Yeah. Or you could try to do something to make it so they can't see you. I don't know.
Yeah.
But either way, yeah, you know they're there. And I'll give you some other details later when we determine what they are.
Cool.
But that was what did I say? Perception.
Yes.
I just want to make some notes of what everyone got here. All right. So while you're scouting that out, Dan, you're doing some shopping. You're going.
Yeah, I'm doing I'm gathering all the standard gear
Okay.
that we would be buying in order to.
And you're using that coin.
Yes.
You go to the mimic's throat.
I do.
All right.
And when I get there, and it's in one of the stalactites.
It
right?
is, but it's in kind of like a cave underneath it.
Okay.
It's kind of like a tight space. It's not this big, lavish, elaborate shop.
Like a really old pub.
Yeah, like low ceilings. Like, think like an antique shop, like that. There's just fucking
room.
shit everywhere. Like piles of things, shelves full of books and trinkets, and a lot of magical stuff. You have a kind of weird connection to the arcane. You just get the sense when you go in that there's some sort of like aura of magic in here. And the shopkeep he's actually behind this like barred countertop, like there's like bars, to like keep him separated from you. And he is a deep gnome. He's reading a book by candlelight. He just kind of glares up at you and then goes back to his book.
I walk over and I snap the coin down onto the counter and I kind of slide it a little across and I say, "What will this get me?"
Anything in that section? One or two things in this section, depends what they are. Nothing over there.
I glance at the nothing over there section.
In game terms,
Yep.
basically you can get
3 minor.
And then is there a category between minor and major?
There's
common.
There's I think common, uncommon, and
uncommon, rare, very rare.
Yep.
Uncommon, rare, very rare. Right. So 3 uncommon or 2 common, no rare. So if you want to take a look at the Dungeon Master's Guide.
Yep. Okay. I'll do that.
All right. And you get all your other gear as well.
Yeah, it's most of it is just a front for us.
Keep in mind, one of the things you need to purchase is something that you're going to give to. So
I'm not going to purchase that with this though. The goal is to buy gear that we can trade to the illithid.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
I gotcha.
One of the things you get right now,
yes,
you have to give
to the
Yep. So try to figure out the thing that you're going to give Xavier.
Okay. That
he can trade. Try to figure that out first.
Got it.
And I'll do Xavier last, so you have some time.
Maybe I can help you with that.
Yeah, you guys should just pick out some gear. Savarkeen, you're climbing up to the top of this cavern.
Yeah.
Pretty long climb, because you have to go to the edge of this enormous cavern, climb all the way up to the ceiling. If your plan is to climb as a spider.
Yes.
Okay.
I can be a spider for 2 hours at a time.
That's good. So you make your ascend up to this cavern. You get onto the ceiling. You're crawling across, and you see this waterfall, this water falling from the ceiling. And you do, in fact, see that occasionally you see a little sparkle in the water. Just flecks of mithril. And the hole that the water is coming out of is actually much bigger than the waterfall itself. And you're able to climb up into it without a problem. It goes up pretty far and it kind of narrows as it goes. And there's a lot of kind of water splashing down at you. Occasionally, as you're moving up, you move into the darkness, and occasionally you feel, you hear and feel something kind of whoosh past you, like in the darkness. But nothing stops your ascent. You make it up to the top of this waterfall tunnel, and it opens up into a large cavern. Lots of stalactites. Those are the ones.
Stalactites.
Hanging down from the ceiling. This sort of bowl-shaped room that you're in. And this waterfall it collects in a pool in the center of the room and then sort of drains down into the floor. So this pool of water, it's actually quite clear and pristine, and there's not really any like dirt or anything. It's just sort of like it's coming out of a wall, spinning around in a circle and then falling down into the floor. So there's this constant sort of rush of fresh water, and all of these stalactites pinpricking the ceiling everywhere around you. You see movement on them. You see flapping of cloaker wings, and occasionally one will fly by. And on the floor and on the ground, peeking out behind rocks and stalagmites, you see goblins. And your guess that they have domesticated these things is totally accurate.
Savarkeen will approach that pool of water, and we just see those goblins' faces, and then like their eyes go wide as the camera flips back, and it's Savarkeen the Drow walking towards the pool. She extends her hand, and blowing like leaves are dancing lights into the air.
Cool.
And they illuminate the surface of the lake.
As the surface of the lake is illuminated, you see this cloaker fly down from a stalagmite and skim the surface of the water and just cause like a ripple in the water. And then it lands on the rocks next to you, and Trolltooth climbs off of it, and it lifts itself. The cloaker lifts up and wraps itself around him like a cloak.
Savarkeen has this small, like a stone cup, and she scoops from the water and drinks, and then offers the cup to Trolltooth.
He takes it. He looks at it. Is it the cup from the...
No,
you didn't take that, right?
She didn't take that.
She threw it at the feet of the heroes.
Welcome.
Your communion with these cloakers is quite beautiful. It's quite a home here you have. A quiet place.
He points to a few tunnels above you in the ceiling. And he says, many more tunnels like this. You see, he scrapes a hand in the rock, and he draws a very rudimentary map. And he says, you see, your maps go this way and that, left and right. Our maps go up and down. He draws a circle, and he says, this is Deepwater. And then he draws another circle, and he says, Menzoberranzan. Close, but separated by the rock. He draws an arcing circle above Deepwater and over to Menzoberranzan. And he says, there are tunnels, but they do not go left to right. They go up and down. On wings, one can get there much faster.
Savarkeen nods. She uses her finger, and in that little drawing of Menzoberranzan, she draws that symbol of a spider. I can show you, the secrets of that place. High above the city, there is magic more powerful than flight.
But it was lost to your kind.
A power stripped from us by our goddess.
Is that what you think?
The Drow used to live above the city.
You think your goddess took this power away?
From some.
Did she take it from you? Or is she growing weak?
I have gifts that allow me to see these places where my people once dwelled. It is because she wants me to see them.
Wants you to see what you cannot have. What was taken from your people.
There is a reason. My house my house has journeyed to the surface. We have the ability to travel up and down. I am the scion of this house. If others have lost this gift, perhaps it is for a reason.
He's staring at you very intently, very like, in a way that is uncomfortable. You long for it.
For what? What
Will you
my people once had?
come with me? Come. He takes a whistle off of a necklace and he blows it. You don't hear anything. And a cloaker flies down and lands next to you. He says, "Do not be afraid."
She calms herself.
He blows the whistle again and it attacks you. It flies right at you. Can you make a handle animal roll?
Have you seen Avatar?
Yeah. Do I have to bang it? That's a dirty 20.
Oh, nice. It's unnerving because it seems like it's going to smother you, but it wraps itself around you and then it picks you up. And
Her hands glide along the bottom of it.
he says, "Follow me." And it lifts you off the ground and into one of those tunnels.
Oh, cool.
He follows. You can't see anything. It's black. Your infravision doesn't have time to focus on anything because you're moving so quickly. You just see blurs of heat and cold as you move through this tunnel, up and up and up. And it gets colder and colder. And then you feel that fresh air as you break the surface and you come into the night sky.
She turns her head up. You see that moonlight on her face.
You see the moonlight light above a pine forest, cold mountain air blowing past you.
It looks like she sort of stumbles back, but her feet are light and she starts like slowly just dancing.
You're fucking lucky on your own.
Hell yeah.
A while later, you land back in the cavern. That cloaker lets go of you, flies back up to the stalagmites.
My hand like sort of brushes past it as it leaves.
Trolltooth says, "We have flown together. We can trust you now. What will we do?"
There will be dwarves that arrive. Gray dwarves from Deepwater. What we ask is that you and your people hide in the upper reaches. These men will believe that no one is here. The rest, my team and I will deal with in Deepwater. After this one visit, you will be left alone.
You attack him in the stone spire.
Yes.
You're also supposed to the escape plan.
Oh, that's right.
All right, cool, man.
Yep.
Thanks for the flight. I'll see you.
Oh shit, I forgot to get that escape plan. Sorry, guys.
In exchange, we ask that your cloakers bring us out of this place in 2 Menzo Berenzin. We will need to leave the city quickly.
There's a balcony near the top of the stone spire. They will wait for you there.
She looks at the whistle around his neck.
He takes it off and hands it to you.
She holds it tightly.
Call them when you reach the balcony.
She nods. I want to give him something. I give him the cup
Okay.
that he drank from.
Hmm.
This is pewter from the surface.
Pewter.
It is soft but strong.
Thank you. As you're leaving, you notice you turn back into a spider to climb down, and one of your feet kind of slips on a stone. You think it's wet at first, and then you realize it's mithril. It's a big chunk of raw mithril in the rock. It's sparkling all over this cavern.
Is there a piece that is sort of maybe broken away, an earth shake or something?
A chunk of rock that has some in it. Yeah.
She picks it up in her spider pincers.
Okay.
I'm going to cast jump.
Okay.
So for the duration, my jump distance is tripled. So going down this shaft, through this hole, she's like,
cool. Dan, what did you decide on?
Looks like Staff of the Magi would probably be a pretty solid deal.
Did you say 2 uncommon?
Yeah. But you're going to have to give one of them as a gift.
Right.
Yeah.
So really one.
I like that as a gift.
Yep.
And then
Right off the rip, we saw the alchemy jug, which in theory would be cool for the alchemist, but it's really like cooking oils.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
he probably already
you can
has
make
one.
honey.
Yeah.
Mayonnaise.
The one that probably stood out the most out of the 4 or 5 we found, I think, is a pearl of power.
Ooh.
Nice.
It's kind of cool.
You're
with
going to
the
give
location.
away
nice.
a pearl of power?
But you can use it to recover a 3rd or 4th level spell slot. And yeah, that's no joke.
Okay.
And then you pick out one on your own for
For us.
us / you to be on a mission.
All right. Xavier, you head down to the docks, pearl in hand.
It's a black pearl.
I kind of grit my teeth as I look at, I don't know if that surface elf is still.
You see that surface elf from a distance. You see that he's just standing outside the boat on the dock, staring out into the water.
Gross.
Xavier walks up and he says,
Like a like a robot being turned on when like someone approaches. He goes from just kind of staring blankly to like suddenly a smile on his face, and he looks at you. Hello.
"Greetings and salutations, puppet. I wish to speak to talk."
You are speaking to talk.
"Well met. My name is Xavier, and I'm a traveler here. I've come in search of a trade."
Oh, very well. Please come right this way. He puts a hand on your back. You're like, fucking surface elf touching me. And he kind of leads you onto the boat. The boat is gorgeous. It's lavishly decorated, carved, hand-carved wood, every surface painted and beautiful. And he leads you into, like... when you go to like a farm or like some like breweries, and they're kind of like they want to look like they do the thing, but really they're just like a
It's
fancy
a show.
fucking showroom. Like that's the look of this place. Like it looks like an alchemist lab, but it looks like it's just trying to be a fucking like picturesque version of an alchemist
Same
lab.
as Boston Brewery.
Right, yeah, exactly. There's like piles of material, but they're all like very specifically like laid out and positioned, and it's a showroom.
"It's a fine place you've put together. I'm sure a lot of these simple merchants are quite impressed. I am much more impressed by what I know you are capable of.
What can I do for you?
My dear Talk, I am always impressed by your kind, by your ability to not just hold sway over your own reins, but to so successfully work in other situations. We find ourselves outsiders here, and I have found myself at a bit of a disadvantage. And I've heard that there is a certain ring that you hold, which bears a curse. Something many would be afraid to maintain. Obviously, with your intelligence and wisdom, you know that such an item can be greatly valuable. I find myself in something which is hard to part with, but which I think we might find mutually beneficial in exchange." He takes this pearl out and rolls it in his fingers. "Knowing your gifts, something that could help to sustain your arcane efforts.
Hmm.
In exchange,
May I?
he holds it out.
He takes it, and he holds it out to his side, and a door opens, and a deep gnome comes out and takes it, and puts on a pair of spectacles, and goes over to a table and starts looking at it.
Does the elf like freeze while the deep gnome comes out?
Yeah,
oh
exactly.
my god.
So I don't, in how Ring of Mind Shielding works,
Yep.
like magical influences can't be used to control me or read my mind. And if a creature attempts to communicate telepathically, I kind of have to consciously allow it or not.
Okay. He says, very interesting, very interesting. Powerful item. And what exactly is it you're looking for in return? A ring, you said?
I've heard, unless my sources are incorrect, which I don't think they are, you hold a ring which bears a curse upon its wearer. I'd find myself at a disadvantageous business negotiation, which I think this might remedy.
It certainly would. It dims the senses of the wearer.
Perhaps we could find an accord in this?
The pearl is interesting, but there's something else about you that's even more interesting. Something... He starts walking around you in a circle. Something about you. I can't quite hear you.
Well,
Is it a ring? I've seen them.
as someone in my line of work, it's necessary in some of my dealings.
Then a ring for a ring?
This ring is not one I can part with.
Does it have a soul in it?
Zavir kind of goes quiet, kind of tries to control his emotions, his face, not knowing that is something that is known at all. It is important to me, and I cannot bear to part with it. If this pearl is not enough, there's something else I have, which, though I may regret this, it holds powers which I am not yet capable of unlocking. He kind of pulls his bag, like he has like a little messenger kind of bag, wizard style, around, and pulls out a tome. It's the Lich necromancy book.
Oh, for fuck's sake.
How to be a
You
lich
just gave us the big bad villain for the rest of our campaign.
He hands it to the gnome, and the gnome flips through a few pages, and then freezes, and then the elf takes the book back and hands it to you, and says, "Please go through that door."
Zavir pauses for a second, nods with a tight smile, and walks through.
The decor of the room that you enter is much different from the, cozy, rustic alchemy shop. It's illithid. The walls seem almost organic. There's this sort of chair and this mind flayer sitting in the chair. Several thrall attendants around him. And he opens his eyes. His tendrils and his face start to kind of writhe. And he attempts to communicate with you telepathically. Do you allow it?
I do not.
You do not allow him to communicate.
I think like
Power move.
to Zavir,
Okay.
it sounds like a dull echo, right? Like almost like muffled outside a door.
Like if he wanted to hear it, he could.
And he just says, I'm sorry. I can't quite understand you.
The attendant didn't come in. The elf didn't come in.
Oh, okay. He speaks in deep speech.
Okay. And one of
I don't have dwarven, but I have deep
one of
speech.
the attendants that's in here says in deep speech.
That is the language of the illithid, right?
Yeah. We'll say it's a deep dwarf, gray dwarf. One of the attendants says, "How did you come by such a manual?"
My travels have taken me to places I did not dare to dream I would set foot in. Places I could have spent all the eternity that this could unlock. One that is not far from here, where this tome came from. As I said, I may curse myself years down the road for giving this up, but I know as great.
By the way, Elithiliches are like literally the most powerful thing in the Underdark.
The worst.
That's the one.
My life is long, but for some, with the powers that you have, to be burdened by the knowledge that you are mortal, I couldn't bear it.
It laughs, which is the most horrible thing you've ever heard. Like, and then the attendant says, "I'll take the book in trade for the ring."
We have a deal.
The Illithid reaches out a hand to shake.
Xavier pauses like half a moment and then reaches out his hand.
As you shake his hand, you realize he's holding the ring in his hand. He hands it to you.
Okay.
He doesn't really shake your hand. He just hands you the ring.
It's awkward.
Xavier says something like a very deep term of respect and deep speech. I assume like there's a lot of like ritualistic
Like
kind of
your-
language to
your
it.
brain is really has
Yeah,
lots
I
of
love-
folds. I love your brain folds.
It throbs and
Your foldy flops. Your
I love your
flappy
foldy
folds.
flops and flappy folds. And they are becoming.
He reaches out his other hand for the book.
Xavier holds it for a moment, kind of bites down, and hands it to him.
Nice.
That is the worst.
So good.
May it bring you prosperity. I hope to return here. Perhaps we can meet again.
Perhaps.
He bows and starts to back out.
All right. You leave. You get to keep
Nice.
the pearl.
Oh, fuck.
Good deal.
There you go. That's a
Sure.
good deal.
Yeah, that's awesome. Good trade.
What does that do again?
It's pretty solid.
Third or fourth level
You
spell.
literally
recover.
can't use it.
I don't have any of those.
You can't use it yet.
It might be better for you.
Fucking, it'll be great when you get third level spells.
No.
All right. Mission accomplished. Ring recovered.
Oh. That's one of those. It's like a crazy antique that has like little to no value to anyone except a couple of people,
And he's that guy.
and he's that guy.
That was amazing.
Lithiliches are like quite honestly like the demigods.
I did not consider that until we were in there. And once you started asking for the ring, I'm like, no.
Yep.
Fuck. I gotta cross off
What
which
did
book.
what was the other item, Dan, that you got from the shop?
I hadn't decided yet, but I was trying to see if there was something that I could get that would be good for the whole party, not just me.
Probably not.
I mean, there are things that have like uses.
Cloak of Displacement.
Well, but that's for one person.
I have to look up in some errata. This might literally be useless. Well,
Until you get third level spells,
no,
it is useless.
fourth. While this pearl is on your person, you can use an action to speak its command word and regain one expended spell slot. If the expended slot was a fourth level or higher, the new slot is third level.
Oh,
It doesn't say like, but it says if. Like, so what if it's under fourth level?
I think that's just an elaborate way of saying the
That-
highest you can get
yeah,
is third
okay,
level.
okay.
Yeah.
So it is useful.
Yes.
You can get a second level.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. It gives you one for one
It
up
should have
until
just said-
fourth.
Any of this could you? Any of us could use
Shouldn't
this.
it have just said to a maximum of third level?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense. I just didn't understand that right.
Oh, So let's say you expended a 4th level spell slot
It's
to cast
still
a 4th
third.
level
damn.
chromatic orb. You can recover a
All right.
3rd level spell slot.
So last thing we're going to do here, this is going a bit longer than I thought it would. But we're going to do the same thing that we did for
Love it.
the first game.
Awesome.
We're going to build an encounter.
Sweet.
So everyone's going to roll a d20. Anything from an 11 up is good. Everything from a 10 down is bad. The lower, the worse. The higher, the better. So
I'm on the good side this time.
what do you got, Josh?
I have a 15.
15.
So moderately
Pretty
good.
good.
Pretty good.
16.
Oh,
That's high. That's a high number.
That's a 9.
Kind of bad.
Kind of bad.
18.
shit.
All right.
It's kind of too much good.
We're stacked.
Well,
Jake
Jake
got a
got a
Jake
9.
rolls
I
too.
rolled a 6.
Okay.
What did you get, Devin?
18.
18. Damn.
We have a good plan.
You do
We
have
do
a good plan.
Yeah, some of this kind of reflects like
Yeah.
maybe we do have.
Yeah.
So, so the stone spine spire. Tell me about it, guys. Any ideas? Possible good things or bad things?
I think almost reflective of our pre-planning, a good thing is definitely the Wormtooth mercenaries creating an issue where there's not as many guards in the spire.
Okay.
I'm going to kind of piggyback on
Sure.
that in a different way, which is that Zorn is maybe a little paranoid.
Okay.
So the defenses are strong, but he doesn't let many people into the upper reaches of the tower. So it kind of goes like hand in hand kind of with what Dan said, but in a different way where even those that might be part of his people, like there's an upper cadre of guards
Okay.
that he has up there that you've kind of already spelled out what they are. And essentially like,
So
it
he
is
doesn't trust a lot of his own
the
soldiers.
lower level, like basically cutting down the possibility of reinforcement.
Okay.
That like, if we can get up into the higher chambers, even those like, on his side, quote unquote, can't just like run up and join. They are also like prevented.
I might change mine to the 2 guards in the secret chambers behind the throne got really blasted the night before, and they're both fucking hungover as shit, asleep at their post.
All right. Matt or Devin? You guys kind of the extreme. Well, Matt's is only a little bad, but it's still bad.
I think in those upper levels, Jidin encountered the most amount of doors, things that could possibly slow them down on their retreat or out.
Okay.
Like armored or locked doors.
Yeah, possibly locked. Maybe some that had. If he does have these sort of upper echelon guards that are stationed up there, then there probably is a bit higher security up there,
Okay.
door wise.
Sounds good.
Savarkeen she's looking as she's returning from the nest, and she's still a spider. She's sort of climbing up along the cliff sides and things like that. She's behind some of these guards, these Durgar with the crossbow. She sees off in the distance in the dark, there's a cloaker, and it's just sort of drifting, and it's hiding in the shadows of this column. And there's like this wisp of like smoke that's coming out from the top of it. And you see the cloaker just sort of drift into that little hole. So there's this Zorn for his feasts and whatever his lifestyle. There's like a chimney system that leads smoke up high out of the column that would be inaccessible to really anyone else, but not Savarkeen.
Cool.
So it's a one person benefit.
Well, if that's
I like it.
if that's something that leads into like a back area, that's where we can have like a pincer where even if Savarkeen doesn't come with you.
Oh, to get up.
Yes.
Oh,
And
okay.
Am I the sole survivor?
Maybe.
Actually, we don't have to make both of you goblins.
So
Yeah, true.
chimney entrance. Devin gave us chimney entrance or exit.
Yeah. There are cloakers that are in there and she has the whistle.
And Jidden gave us lots of obstructions, so lots of locked doors on the upper levels. From Dan, we have guards are distracted, so there's less guards. And from Josh, we have trust issues, so no reinforcements are coming. And then I had a 6, so I have a bad thing.
You'll find out next time.
Zorn is a red dragon.
Zorn is a Zorn.
Zorn is an,
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I was like, why is that familiar?
That's a badass name.
maybe
for
he's an Elithalich.
already. He came back in time to take Zorn's
Do I get
place.
a point of inspiration for creating a Lithalich?
I think so. I think so. Actually, you did just create the main villain for the rest of the campaign. Yeah, we'll find out what the negative thing is when you guys get into the keep.
Love
Cool.
it.
All right,
All right.
Cool.
Let's do
and
it.
we'll do that next week.
Mission Impossible.
Yeah.
8.
Thank you for listening to A Tangled Web. Please, if you have time, tell a friend, write us a review, or, just go out and shout it on the rooftops. Check out all of our different social media platforms. You can go to our website and find links at the bottom. There's probably also links on whatever you're listening to right now. That's NastyGramRPG.com, and definitely check out the socials because I tend to put little things on there to help with NPCs and visual aids and whatnot. Our intro music was by A Wilhelm Scream. Theme song is Oath by Adrian von Ziegler. All scores by Adrian von Ziegler and Antti Marttikainen. Thanks for listening.
That's nasty.
All right. Here we go. Wait, do I say welcome back? Do I just say welcome back? I'm your dungeon master. No, I'll just say I'm your
Nailed
dungeon.
it. Nailed
I'll
it.
just say,
Did you get high?
yeah, I did. No. I'm your dungeon master, Jake.
That's it.
Welcome back.
Welcome back to Nastygram RPG
Why do I
Podcast.
say welcome back if Dan already said welcome back?
So here's how it goes. Wilhelm intro.
Yep.
He says that. Then we fade out to a whole like recap
Yep.
scene.
Okay.
So you want a little
So I'm
something.
welcoming
you gotta
them back
fluff
from the
them.
recap.
welcome,
All
back. Welcome back again.
Welcome back from the recap.
Once
Welcome
again,
back.
once again, we welcome you back.
Now that I think about it, it just seems awkward.
You find yourself
Less
at the
awkward
beginning of a
than- I'm a
Nastygram
dungeon
episode.
master.
We've been doing it for 3 years.
I know, and it hasn't been awkward for 3 years. All right, we'll do it.
Do it live. Fuck it.
Do it.